Hi everybody, welcome to this video. This is the geology building at Central Washington University. This is my office on the first floor, and on the second floor, directly above me here, is the office of a new geology professor named Jordan Carey, and you're going to meet him today, many of you for the first time. There's a unique video coming in just a second from Drumheller channels in south central Washington. It's a key Ice Age floods location that J. Harlan Bretz was obsessed with and kept visiting year after year back in the 1920s. Well, Jordan Carey is brand new to Washington, moved here about 2 years ago, and he is learning what he can about Washington geology. Great. He watched the Ice Age Floods A to Z live stream series from this office over this past winter. Wonderful. And so now he wants to see some of these places that we've been talking about and featuring. And even though it's a little bit more than an hour away, Jordan is just slowly but surely getting to all these places. The unique video coming in just a second shows Jordan trying to process what he's seeing out there. And I think it's a good way, a new way, a unique way to demonstrate how unusual the channeled scablands are and the amount of water necessary. And I really enjoyed going back and forth. And I didn't know what we were going to do. I just was going to turn the camera on as we hike, and I thought it would just be basically just interviewing him basically as we talk. But it quickly turned into this back and forth, which I hope that you will enjoy. I had a great time, and I think Jordan did too. So, without further ado, Mr. Jordan Carey, Central Washington University Geology Department. I don't know if you'd put this into your Ice Age Floods one or what. Come on.
This goes into my future CRB lectures.
You got your camera with you?
I do.
Well, by all means.
That view coming in was pretty good. I mean, these are stunning.
Tell me about 188 and the purpose of the course. Why do people register for 188?
Yeah, so 188, it's not an intense geologic field experience.
Okay.
We've got lots of those.
Yeah.
For those who crave it. 188, at least in my mindset with them has been, it's a chance to get anyone out of Ellensburg.
Good.
Into the surrounding area.
Yep.
Get them camping. Geologists, non-geologists, lots of non-geologists often. Just to kind of expose them to what's out there.
And how do they even hear about the class? Do they typically take you in 101 and then they like you?
Yeah.
And they go, I want to take, they ask, do you teach any other geology classes, Jordan?
Yeah, that happens. I've had this year I've got 40 students on 2 classes, and I've previously taught probably 35 of them, maybe, at some point. So yeah, but we get a couple of newbies in there. Usually it's through friend groups.
Yeah.
You know, someone goes, has a good time, drags all their friends along. That's not uncommon. And the part about camping, like what percentage of your students have never done it before? A fair amount.
A fair amount?
A fair amount have, never tent camped before. So this is their first time. So we usually stay at, it's not super rustic or anything, but your pretty standard campground that's got some pit toilets, running water, some designated campsites kind of camping. I think it taught them that rattlesnakes like to let us know where they are, and they don't want to bother us most of the time.
Here's a good example.
Yeah, we got a weird change there in that column.
I mean, some of these, my God.
They're perfect.
I'm distracting you from the experience here. I'm having you on frickin' cameras. This is the first time you've seen some of these. Come on, man. These are better than...
They're perfect.
And I'm just noticing right now, this is the same thing that I was asking the students about in 351 a couple springs ago, which is at the next island over where we're headed, where I dropped my hammer. But it was that same thing. Tim Miller and a few others were noticing, that the meat in the sandwich is so chippy and well defined, and it dies out.
It dies out. Well, and clearly that's the part that has, well, I don't know, clearly. Seems to me like that's the part that is forming the weird flat tops that you're standing on all these columns.
In places.
In places.
In other
From
places,
what I'm seeing here,
gone.
maybe, but.
And even at this next, when we go over to the Hammer Drop Island, God, the clouds are great today, by the way.
Look at that.
That chippy thing just pinches out. You can see it like pinch out to nothing. Like so, it's those kinds of.
Like right here, right?
Well, I think that's just from erosion, don't you? Like I just.
Oh! You're talking about within
the wall.
There's continuous wall.
Yeah.
And the chippy stuff pinches out. I see. Yeah, it's fun to have it at your back door.
Mm-hmm.
And Ellensburg specifically.
Hey, you can get out of town in about 5 minutes.
Yeah, centrally located. Got so many things at your doorstep. In any direction. Very different stories in any direction.
Yeah.
Which is the best part.
So, yeah, let's do more of that. So not just geology, but your mountain biking or other things. What are some favorite spots in Washington that you've experienced so far? Just a little short list of like, if somebody says, why did you go out there? Are there really cool places?
Let me share a story.
Okay.
It's down in New Zealand. Last year ago, a little over a year ago.
Yeah.
And I'm riding my bike in this world-class mountain bike destination, Rotorua, New Zealand. And I meet some locals. I start chatting them up, we're riding, they're showing me some of their trails, and I'm just like, geez, you guys live here in Rotorua? This is, you are so lucky, this is amazing. And they're like, yeah, but you're from Washington.
Oh, really?
All they wanted to do was come to Washington and ride.
No kidding.
To ride all these places that, Bellingham comes to mind, and anywhere in the Cascades that they wanted to come to.
Huh.
And I was like, you know what, you're right. Not that I wasn't appreciative or didn't realize that beforehand, but it just reconfirmed that, like, how good we've got it. 'Cause, I mean, with good mountain biking comes good geology. Those two things certainly go together.
That's true. Not only the geology is cool, but the transition to something else is so abrupt that it's almost like you're hiking on a geologic map.
Well, yeah,
the contact is right in front of you.
Right, that's what you're looking for as a geologist, right? That's where the story is where the abrupt change is. Why?
I want to make a solid line on my map. I don't want to dash it. I don't want to dot it. I want a nice, satisfying, solid line. And you would put a satisfying, solid line right there by those tarps, those white tarps, right at the transition.
Mm-hmm.
And you love imagery from space, and you'll see that if you haven't already. And it's just like most of the time with the flood story, you're restoring landscapes. And you're restoring that surface and that upper set of material, these sediments of the ringgold and the loess, and it's gone. And it's gone for 9 miles in an east-west direction, and then on the western horizon you pick it up again. You can barely see that from here, but that's what you never capture on video, even folks watching this. You're just like, okay, I guess I kind of see it, but hard to communicate it verbally, hard to communicate it visually.
So the main channel through here, still right here, right?
The Columbia,
or am I losing it?
You kind of like that Columbia channel.
I do. I just want to keep my eye on it, or is it like through here?
It's through here.
Okay. I just want to.
It's threading roughly northeast southwest right through here. It's just a
Okay.
diagonal cut, and then disappears back where we parked basically. But that in itself is kind of a fun visual, that you've got the mighty Columbia for centuries coming right through this Drumheller area because it cannot go where it wants to go. It wants to go at Pateros and Chelan and Wenatchee, and it can't go. There's too much ice in the way. And I don't think it's just an idea. I think there's quartzite cobbles and other geologic evidence to pin that Columbia here, even though it was only here a short time during the red time, the Lake Wisconsin.
I think
God knows where it flowed before that.
even for me, it's more simple. I just kind of, in terms of keeping track of my bearings of where I am, just where that main flow of whatever is coming, whatever's draining through this area. It's a confusing area. It's
Okay,
well, it's messy.
Well, I'm not sure we're talking about the same thing at the moment. Let's play with that for a second. So it's pleasing to take a river that you know what a river looks like, and then you place that river right in here.
Yeah.
And even though the river's dammed, the Columbia River's dammed now, we can place that known thing. But then, to me, and maybe what you're saying is that if we're not talking about the Columbia River time, but we're talking about filling this entire 9-mile wide channel,
Right.
and from space it looks like a braided stream coming off of a
Right,
glacier
right.
in Alaska, but we scale everything up. That's what you're saying?
Yeah,
Is the
I'm just trying to
confusing part?
understand the braided stream that is this area to me.
We got to get to the top over there then.
Like
That's
where's the main water going? Where's stuff like,
Good.
piling up and eddying out or whatever, and shallower flows.
I
That's
got
what
it.
I'm just trying to keep track of.
I got it, and it's like we always say in field geology. If you've got a brand new student, they're at their first spot in the field. It's a 4-day mapping exercise, and they're
Yeah.
like, I don't know what's going on. It's like,
Yeah.
you've only been to one spot. What are you
Right.
talking about? And you've only been to 17 steps, and we've been low the whole time. We haven't
Right.
even really had.
Right.
That's why your instinct was to go to that knob.
Yeah.
So that's really the main reason we're heading to this mesa up here. Is you may still not totally see it, but you'll have a better sense. There's a Columbia Channel for
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty.
you. You know what though, Jordan?
Yeah.
What you're just describing is another way to talk about how Brett's was so impressive. Because he never did. He never could get high enough to
Right.
see it.
Which is crazy.
And yet his maps are so clear. You remember where we overlaid his maps with Google Maps?
Yeah.
And to
The
have that.
precision, the accuracy, it's quite stunning.
Because you could say, okay, well, we're confused because we were just here one afternoon.
Right.
Maybe if we were here a whole month of August. No, I don't think you'd still be able to see it. It would still be just this over and
Yeah.
over and over again.
I'm
you know?
just constantly, let me see that satellite imagery, let me
Right.
see that LiDAR. Oh yeah, I can piece together the story, no problem.
Right.
It's a testament to
Yeah.
the persistence that not just Brett's, but all of these early geologists
Yeah.
did and had.
Oh, we're keeping that. That was a good 2 minutes right there. That's solid. It might be a 2-minute video, but that was good.
2-minute geology. See, like I feel lost again already. So we were just right down there, looking right through here,
Yeah.
and I saw main channel coming, what I thought was right there. But now I'm looking over there.
Oh, you know why? I was wrong.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
I casually said, there's your channel, but I was pointing at the guy that's right out of sight.
I mean, is that right? Were you pointing there, or am I just off now already?
Jordan, I was wrong.
Okay. Because that looks nice and big.
That's
now.
it.
Okay. I mean, I believed it. It's certainly, relative to what we're seeing over here,
Yes?
it was way more of a well-defined channel. this little
We're
thing.
definitely cutting this. I was wrong. And you were right. That's exactly right. Good job.
See,
And that's a common thing. You know, you're out there, you're working with a mapping partner.
right.
And you're like, maybe you go a half a day.
Slight-
You're like, I'm sure that point is where we were. No,
Right.
come on, Justin. Are you kidding me? You are high. And then at some point, it gets settled.
I think that's one thing I try and maybe coach that skill. Like, I mean, what I'm doing right now,
Yeah.
I'm constantly, okay, let's stop for a second and get my bounds, whether I'm looking at my map board or not. Just remembering where you were and what you were looking at and how does it look different now.
Yes.
I'm
Well,
constantly doing that.
Somebody trained you to do that. They trained you to think that way. That's not a supernatural thing, I wouldn't say.
Otherwise, you're looking down, you're hiking up, and you look up, and then you're totally lost.
Exactly.
And you have no idea. So I'm just doing these constant little baby steps.
It's good.
Set the record
But
straight.
it speaks to the labyrinth idea,
Yeah.
that you don't have a Mississippi River in a channel and there's no other way for you can get water to go this way and that way. If you carve a labyrinth, whether it's one flood or 10 or 20 or 100, you can get these deceiving channels that
Yeah.
are significant but not quite as deep
Right.
as down below, etc.
I mean, this is a weird one right here.
That speaks to why this is such a special place. How many landforms, geomorphic landforms, are you seeing that don't quite follow the textbooks?
Right.
What are you seeing that's weird? Can you describe it?
Well, from this angle,
Yep,
if I was just standing here, I'm thinking.
I think you are.
I am. Well, I also have a little other context from
Okay.
being over there.
Good.
But I'm standing here and I'm like, here's this like deeply incised, relatively speaking,
Good.
channel, and where's the water coming from? It seems to come out of nowhere. Like it's just kind of like floating up on top of this flat land and coming down in here. I think it was coming from over there more.
Oh no, all the water's coming from behind you.
Not from this way?
No.
Oh, I'm turned
Is
around.
that part
then.
of the...
Maybe, see, this is why I have to.
Okay, that's good. So,
There's nothing coming from this way.
no. Should have started with that maybe.
Well, here we go. Isn't that ridge running like east-west?
Yes.
I mean, certainly the water's coming from this way, but look at this thing right here. Is that not going down into that channel right there?
You are beautifully showing how landforms like this, on this scale, are confusing as hell. All the water, I'm looking straight east right now. You're looking at me straight west. Every drop of water, whether it's in the Columbia River time or whether it's the Ice Age floods time, is like this. And you don't believe it, but
I'm
let me
still
show you a
kinda
couple
not-
maps.
I mean, looking this way, certainly yes, right? Beautiful. But am I not looking north when I'm standing like this right here?
No, you're looking west.
I thought the Frenchman Hills run.
You can
East
only
west.
see a portion of the
Am I like
Frenchman
looking at like
Hills.
almost like a long strike?
Yes. And the Frenchman Hills don't have near the ridge top or the spine to follow.
Okay.
Let's try this. Drumheller channels. We need to orient this
Well, I think-
exactly east-west. And so we're looking at, here's a scarp. So Brett's has a scarp. He's carefully measuring the elevation of each of the highest points of these steep faces where the floods have stripped away a bunch of the material.
And
So
so
we're
one of
looking-
those is over there.
We're looking at just the butt. So that scarp is sitting north-south like this. And everything beyond is this broad Frenchman Hills that extends as a mass straight west back to our county. You still don't see it.
No, how? There's water coming this way.
Yes?
Is it not coming like this? Like over here too? What is doing all that over there?
This is 9 miles wide.
Right.
and
Yeah,
all
so
9
it's coming
miles
from
wide.
So why couldn't it come through here?
It is.
Over on where we just were walking.
It is, but weren't you wanting water coming like this? Wasn't that what you were saying?
Yeah, just like locally right here. Like,
maybe.
was there not? There was water over there. You can cut all this.
This is perfect. The water was deeper than everything.
Right.
The water from the air, apparently, if you can imagine,
I
hot
guess,
air balloon and it's white water, 9-mile wide rapids. And
during a flood.
during one of the Ice Age floods. And at the base of that 9-mile wide deluge of water, we're cutting channels of varying trends, working into where weaknesses are. It's maybe controlled more by the weaknesses in the basalts as opposed to there's a northeast southwest trend and therefore the water is flowing in that direction. Are we getting closer to, we're basically
like
this is great. You're stubborn as hell, but in a good way. Let me keep trying and see if it works.
Yeah.
If we have an overall north to south flow,
Mm-hmm.
in the bottom fourth of that flow,
Mm-hmm.
we can have water shooting in all sorts of directions over a corrugated base and be squirreling all the directions that maybe you want it to go, but the overall sense in the upper 3/4 is a north-south swoosh because of the structural control on the whole thing. It's coming from Grand Coulee. It's coming from Dry Falls. Dry Falls is straight north.
But there is water over there.
Where we were hiking before?
Yeah. Well, we came from over here.
Yeah?
But
there's water
that's
over
all
there.
underwater.
Yeah?
And so as the flood's like calming down, like passing through,
Okay.
you've got
Waning stages of the
waning
water.
stages, and certainly it's coming through here, right? And coming down through this little guy right here and into the, like from this.
Yeah.
Okay,
at the
I think that's
very
all I
end.
was saying.
That's all you're saying.
I think so.
Why would you go to the last Sunday of the flood to visualize?
Well, because I see, I guess maybe it's just the classical thinking or whatever, but maybe I'm just trying to put tiny little river channels in all of these things.
I think that's what you're doing.
And
is that the most natural thing to do? Is that the most?
Certainly, but it wasn't like the water. I mean, I guess, is this what you're saying? That bottom column, fourth column of the water is flowing this way, and chewing at that basalt and making this ridge that's perpendicular to the flow. Like certainly, the flows were going like that, right? Or is that where I'm just completely out to lunch?
I think it's where you're out to lunch, but I don't want to be forceful about it. We're forming the conventional wisdom of forming these little gullies, let's say,
Mm-hmm.
is by lifting columns up and out, not by having a little river carving through there. It's a catastrophic damage, and so to have a wall, I think you're returning again. If you start zooming around on Google Earth, you'll see every trend of a wall you'd want in this whole scene. I think you'd have.
Yeah,
we could hike for the next 4 days
doing
in
all
here,
this kind of crap, right?
everywhere. They're connected by little channels, but we've got walls facing all points of the compass.
Yeah. Okay.
And yet, on the grander scale, it's meaningless.
Okay.
Let's go over here and see if it looks any different.
I guess so my experience so far in the scablands has largely been contained to
a coulee.
A Grand Coulee, a Frenchman Coulee, a Pothos
Okay.
Coulee, a Moses Coulee.
Okay.
And there it's certainly easier to visualize what's happening.
Yes.
And
You hate this place.
When I'm envisioning the water moving down the coulee,
Yeah.
and the plucking, it's all happening in this nice direction.
Yes.
And obviously, I knew coming here that it was this whole braided network of channels. But maybe that was my thought. Maybe that's the problem. It's not this braided network of channels. Is that?
Oh God, I thought we were heading there.
And now I'm off it again.
Let's go to another spot. But I think this is super instructive. And we're both right, but yet we're not seeing it the same way.
I think it's just my scope. It's just the scope, the scale, not the scope. The scale is hitting me differently here.
You can tell me to stop this discussion, and I will.
No, I
So
do want to come to
let's keep going. So let's visualize the snout of a glacier in Alaska, and it's confined. Can you hold this for just a sec? And let's have it confined to a rather straightforward. Good for you. Yeah, you know how to film things. Let's have it confined to a alpine valley.
Okay.
And let's say the alpine valley is a mile across.
Okay.
And there's our snout of our glacier, and it is melting back, and let's even do bonus points. It's going to have an outburst flood or two every century. Otherwise, it's just normal discharge off the front of that alpine ice. And we got a bunch of gravels out in front of that alpine ice.
These are the gravels? Is that where you're going with this?
No, but so the gravels, it's a braided stream system.
Right.
And depending on the time of year, you're trying to walk up to that glacier, and you've got little streamlets in that gravel plain that have every direction possible.
Sure.
And yet when we have an outburst flood, it's all just coming down the trend of the valley.
Right.
It's not controlled by those little streams in the braided system. And so we don't have gravels here, but we have a braided system carved in bedrock that don't stand a chance to control any water until the very last day of the flood.
That works.
That kind of work?
Yeah, yeah.
That's how I visualize it. And so, of course, you can.
Yeah, I think it was the landscape is changing my scale. I think I have a pretty decent grasp on how big the floods were. I think.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you were in.
But even with that background, I'm being deceived a little bit in here, I guess.
This is great. If you're willing to let me post this, like this is a perfect set of mental grinding that many of us do.
Yeah.
Not when we're first out here like you are, but when we're out here regularly. Never mind the fact that you've only seen a small portion of this, and now we're going to top out here, and maybe I'll shut up for a second.
Like if I were to look at this on a satellite or some LiDAR or something.
Yep.
I think I would, I'm assuming now, can't backtrack, but I'm assuming it would be, it's very easy to see the overall trend, and maybe you don't get hung up by all this stuff because you know that these were big floods. And all of what we're walking through is the gravel at the snout of a glacier.
Well, we're going to get back home. You're going to get on your computer and you're going to text me at 11 o'clock tonight and you say, I was right, you son of a bitch. That whole time I was right. You weren't listening to me.
Well,
I don't know. Like, this is the highest we're going to get.
I guess this is good. This is a good spot. Let's go to this spot right here. So we can go back and look at my little spot over here.
We're getting shade now with those escarpments. That's even better. It's perfect. That's your spot. That's what started this whole thing.
Yeah.
That thing right there.
Which is perpendicular to the overall direction of flow. I think
is.
also I was certainly just compass turned around just slightly. I think I still am. My brain's refusing to accept that that's north.
Well, let's walk north.
bit,
Now
but-
that you know it's north, let's walk and just see if we're, like if we get on the prow of this thing, which is kind of the end of our little walk, over the columns, which is the highlight of the walk. I'll just let you see if it feels any better or worse.
So over here, this whole area,
Yeah,
on the other side of this high part we're on,
ditto to this.
looks just like this. 'Cause there was,
As far as what I'm visualizing during
Yeah, okay.
the big flood.
I guess that's, I certainly had that in mind. Like that's where I was talking about water coming from, but you're saying water's not over there and over here. And I think that's what I was envisioning. Like
No,
we're up
I was resisting to you saying the water's coming from over there.
No, there is water over there.
During a flood, there's water over there, there's water over here, there's water over the top of this thing,
Right.
and it's all flowing south.
Did you think I was saying there's only water coming from over there?
Yes.
Okay, I don't think I was saying that. I knew that there was water coming from over here, what I didn't.
I thought you saw a little channel and you wanted
Certainly.
water to come from that side over to this side.
Certainly. But that's where I'm talking about. I'm off on the scale. I was completely off on the scale of the. I was tricked by the landscape to shrink the floods in my head.
Okay, that's a nice way to put it. No, yeah, I
To
see it.
have these nice, and that's why I was like, oh, the waning moments of the flood. This is what I'm talking about. And maybe I was thinking that was still kind of cutting at that time. I guess I'm trying to justify my.
You don't have to, but yeah.
That's I think what was going through my head.
Right. But that doesn't make sense, that we're cutting
Yeah, right.
as the water,
Right, certainly not. Well,
as the rowboat is being sunk down to the, we're pulling the bathtub, plugging the bathtub.
how much you think? How much erosion is happening when this is an island?
When it's an island
When this is above
water.
and you've got
Zero.
right here, you've got water like stretching across here. And you got some water in the whatever waning moments.
I don't know, but I
Is
think
there
the answer's
zero
zero
erosion?
Well, that's where we go.
I
to
guess in
Vic
my
Baker or
mind,
Jim
that's what I'm
O'Connor.
expecting. Oh, then it's cutting these. That's what I was thinking. At that point, then we're cutting all these weird things. But no, of course, it's happening when you've got the really turbulent, massive flow, and it's, of course, it was a scale thing.
Which is the challenge for every freaking person
Yeah.
that comes out here.
Yeah.
Of course. Over decades, you still struggle with the scale. But if you want to come back another time, those big gashes almost to the skyline, but just short of it, you see a couple high parts of the wall.
Uh-huh.
That's like a major version of what we were just arguing about.
Okay.
Totally against trend.
And just, yeah.
I mean, we're back to your question. When are you doing the cutting?
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. It makes perfect sense. Why? Of course, it's all, if not majority, if not all, at those maximum stages, right?
Yeah, but I mean, your comments now are worth thinking about, and I'm going to enjoy rewatching this because it's the evolution of thought of, okay, you get a little bit of water sloshing sideways in the waning stages of a flood, but why would you have a deep gash, way deeper than the one we were talking about?
This is the thing, though, is it doesn't even feel like that little amount of. I'm imagining we're up on an island here, and I'm imagining a ton of water from here all the way across, ripping through here.
Yeah.
Feels like a lot still.
Yeah, even though we're not at maximum flood. Remember, there's
Yes.
different sizes of floods. So let's have a flood that's just up to our shoes and we don't get
Right.
wet.
Sure.
That's a lot of water.
But it's not doing any.
I don't know. Sorry.
Like in my head, That's what I was envisioning. So
You're still you don't have to justify yourself.
I know.
I mean,
Yeah.
you're giving me a bunch of new thoughts, and you're a fun guy to be with, but you're also helping me come up with new thoughts about what to do next time I come out here. And I'm weak with fluid hydraulics and all that, but Jim O'Connor and Vic Baker and others have done all the hydraulic modeling. They could probably tell you exactly how deep, how much water, number one, what discharge, what drilling power, whatever their phrases are.
Like this is like sheer.
That is so true. It's a great observation. You're plucking these columns cartoonishly.
Yeah, like, I mean, you can envision this. Next flood, how easily these are going to just be ripped right off.
Great point.
Look at that
Why can't you erode with water halfway up just by making the base of this thing unstable, and there it goes. It's a log that's getting swept away.
Right. It seems reasonable, right?
It does.
But maybe a fluid hydraulics person would just laugh at that.
No, let's be reasonable about this. They can laugh all they want. Laugh away. Well, some of these are falling without any water at all. But we're talking about how much water is necessary to pluck 500 of these off.
Yeah.
In a week.
This is good. This is a cool spot. It is. I think better than certainly better than like Moses Coulee and like giving me a sense of the scale. I think. Like
interesting. You would
the features aren't as yeah.
You would think the biggest, deepest canyon would be the most wow. But it's really interesting. That was last Thursday where we were not filming because it was raining like crazy. Here we are the next Thursday afternoon, and you're saying you see more water.
Yeah. Well, because of this recent conversation. I mean, you saw where I was back there.
Right.
And I'm envisioning this flood of water carving out Moses Coulee, carving out Grand Coulee. And here we're so wide. But now I'm thinking we're so wide, but we're still we're down in the bottom of the depths of the water.
Okay, here's a twist. You're impressed by Grand Coulee, and you know Grand Coulee, and you know Dry Falls. And that's a big flood coming down the Grand Coulee. But where does that flood go? It fills the Quincy Basin, and we siphon off some of that water to potholes, some of it to Frenchman, and just some of it coming here.
Right, so it's a fraction of what went through there.
It's a fraction, and yet still this place is giving you new thoughts on the catastrophism we're talking about. I like it. I like that this...
I'm still struggling to have us being so deep in the water column. I mean, well, like looking over here, right? No water is getting over there. Is that right? Right? I can say that.
All right.
And I feel like it's just casually looking at, feel like we're like almost level with that at this level here. When I'm at Moses Coulee, and I'm envisioning the water coming through there.
What's the high water mark?
Exactly.
I don't know.
I'm seeing, okay, there's maybe some spillover, but the majority of it I envision in my current understanding of this, which is still young and naive.
You don't put the disclaimers
I need a disclaimer
in. Go.
That it's contained. It's contained in that. Is that wrong? Is that
the water doesn't leak out of the top of Moses Coulee, no.
Like I envision the water coming in and it's okay. The first handful of floods chewed up this coulee, and now it's coming in and it's all in there.
It's all in there.
There's never a point where you're standing and I'm like, where's Moses Coulee at, right? Or is that?
Say that last sentence again.
If I had an aerial view and I'm hovering above the ground in a helicopter, was there ever enough water flowing to completely like hide the coulee underwater, where you can't see the walls whatsoever? The coulee's underwater.
New thought. I don't know.
Because that's not what I was thinking. I was thinking it's chewing away and it's kind of always contained for the most part.
You're always okay. So with Moses Coulee, you, regardless of how big the floods were, you figured you could always see the upper parts of the walls.
Yeah, like that was kind of the high water mark.
The top of the cliff or somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, clearly it never got higher than the highest point of the walls of Moses Coulee because it's frickin' fractal lifts right up above.
So I'm on there then.
We can see at least a river where Moses Coulee is totally filled.
So you got this relatively narrow coulee. All the water is contained within it.
Moses Coulee.
Which was what I was assuming.
Yes.
Well, or let's do Grand Coulee because we're talking about Drumheller.
Okay.
Grand Coulee.
Love it.
It's all in Grand Coulee.
Same idea.
Same idea.
The hanging valleys up
hanging
high.
valleys, everything, and now that same amount of water is in Drumheller.
No.
Well, less. It's less.
Way less.
You're right. You're way less. We lost some over to yes.
But it's still a bunch of water.
But now we're spread out over 9 miles.
9 miles as far as what's Grand Coulee's maybe 1 mile wide, maybe 3 or 4 miles wide.
So I feel like there's no way. The water can't be much higher than this.
Okay.
I think, mentally.
Okay.
Which means even at the kind of high points, my little channel that sparked all this over there is there. There is some flow flowing through there in that kind of direction.
Yes.
A bit, like
yes.
Right? It's coming from there, and there's water flowing over here. It ate all this out relative to our fields over there, and flowed in that direction.
I'm with you until the last part, which is your initial comment. You're implying that water's over there and it's not over here at the same time.
No. Well,
how can it flow into this area if there's water there?
Yeah, that's it. We have more basalt column talus over here.
Yeah.
Than the sheer cliff on that side.
Oh, that's interesting. So, finishing the Tom Foster story, you can see why he finally got me right here. And
so,
I'm like,
what was
okay.
it? This spot right here. You came here.
Showed me those. We went to the base of the columns, which I'm about to show you, and then up on top.
Okay.
And I'm like, it's a top 10 place for me all time. Like,
so it was.
I can't believe this. It wasn't what you were captivated by. It wasn't.
It was a column story.
It really was.
I mean, they are. I had seen them in, so I kind of knew what I was getting into here.
Right.
I mean, not to take away from. I mean, they are stunning.
They are stunning.
They are stunning.
But you're reminding me that Tom Foster's the guy that got this spot on the map. So many people we saw today, like they've seen a photo or a video from here. They know these. But I think that was why I was so taken aback. I cannot believe that I didn't know a place like this existed. Yeah. I've lived here for 20 years and I've never seen a photo of this. And that was kind of the beginning of social media and everything. So it wasn't as easy to share photos. But, oh, the sun's out perfect right now. Perfect.